about 7 or 8 years ago, SNL released one of its sketches that would become kind of considered one of their best that they've ever released, and that was the lobster diner sketch, where Pete Davidson goes in to a diner and orders a lobster dish that is not something you should ever be ordering at a diner. And then they go into the whole the Les Mis parody scene with John Mulaney, and I can't think of anyone else that legitimately do not watch SNL. I just know the sketch, but you get the idea. And the philosophy behind it is that you should not do certain things and not order certain foods at certain places because it would just not go well. And for some reason, I was thinking about the sketch and it reminded me of a time of a catastrophic error I made when I was ordering food one time at a restaurant. Now let me set the scene of what what's led up to me making my catastrophic culinary mistake. So I'm at a restaurant on New Year's Eve with some family, going out to celebrate the holiday. And I don't even remember what it was called or like where specifically we looked at. I just got a Steam notification from a bot trying to say hi to me and give me to, I guess, have sex with her. I don't know. But back to what actually matters. I don't even remember where I was because that bot distracted me. Shit, she won. God damn it. But whatever. So we're in this restaurant and like we walk into it and it looks kind of nice. It looks kind of like the restaurant you'd like to see. And then we get put into this auxiliary area that kind of just has like foldable tables as the tables that we're eating at. And they try to make it look nice by draping a table cover over it to make it seem like kind of fancy. But it was already an environment that kind of produces interesting outcomes when it comes to food. And so we open up the menu, and I see one thing that kind of catches my eye of just something I've never had before, and I kind of wanted to try it solely because it kind of looked fun to me. And so what I looked at was orange roughy stuffed with crab meat. So it's basically a fish stuffed with crab meat. And I know what you're wondering. Why would you be in the environment that you're in? A folded table and in like auxiliary room of a restaurant on New Year's Eve, looking to order that type of food, looking to order seafood like in the middle of Wisconsin, because that's where I was. And I need to tell you, it was for the bit. I never had roughy before. I've never had crab meat in the way that they presented it before, but I thought, hey, this is kind of funny. What if I order it? And so I do. It's delivered to me, and it looks acceptable. It looks like a fish had a fuck ton of crab meat stuffed inside of it. Like it was like grounded crab meat too. It wasn't just like normal crab meat. It was like grounded crab meat. Now the issue is I don't know how the hell they managed to do this. Either it was intentional or they just like messed up my order. But the crab meat was just cold. Somehow they managed to make the fish hot. The fish surrounding the crab meat was like well cooked, but inside the crab meat was cold. And I'm assuming just either undercooked or just raw. And so, you know, I feel like I just kind of made a mistake there. But knowing my dumbass, because this was like 7 years ago, I was a young child. I was not in the right state of mind. Actually, no, it was probably like 5 years ago or whatever. However many years ago it was, I was a fool back then. But yeah, so I didn't really, process the idea of sending the food back because I'm afraid of any sort of confrontation in any way, even though, eating crab meat raw might or undercooked might just be detrimental to my health. So I suffered through it. I ate about half of the crab meat before I said no more and just finished off the roughy around it, which was like an actual edible part of the food. And I never would have thought, like, this SNL sketch should be so just holding true throughout the test of time in the fact that there are some things you should not order at certain places. In this case, lobster at a diner. In my case, orange roughy and stuffed with crab meat at a random restaurant that puts you in a side room that makes you eat on like foldable tables on New Year's Eve. Mine's a bit more, specific. Mine's a bit more niche. But I also think it is combined with me being a dumbass and not just saying, "Hey, is the crab meat supposed to just be cold, or should I send this back and be like, hey, I think you're trying to kill me in my young age, and I think you might be trying to turn me into the crab meat. I think I would have gone to the bathroom, passed out, and I would have waken up in a grinder, and that'd be turned into the crab meat. I think that's what they were trying to do. I mean, and also, unfortunately for my situation, no one really checked me on ordering this type of food. They're like, hey, you do you, man. You want to order that weird ass thing here? Have fun with it. So one could also say that it was an error of the elders of my family for not guiding a youthful child in the right direction for his health and safety. One could also argue that he would start off the new year dead, due to poisonous crab meat. But in reality, I really didn't get sick. It was more just like I regretted my decision for ordering a food for fun, for the hell of it, for thinking, hey, this looks weird as hell. I don't know if I like anything here. What if I order it and just ruin my night? But I guess we learn from our mistakes. I learned from my mistake. I don't even know why, but this is only completely kind of related. But I do have the sketch pulled up right here. um, yeah, there you go. Look at that. This didn't happen. I wish it did. I wish it did happen. But unfortunately, it was just me being sad, surrounded by my family, eating cold crab meat stuffed inside a fish that was somehow hot. I feel like, if anything, we should be impressed that they managed to do that somehow, how they managed to do a cold and hot dish in the way that they did. But yeah, so that was really just like a random story that I thought of in my brain. And I wanted to share it to, do a PSA for everyone. Do not order food at a random restaurant for the meme. It will not it will not treat you nicely. It'll kill you. You'll die. Maybe that's the reason why I'm wait the maybe that was a crab meat speaking there. Maybe it put a parasite in my brain and I've never recovered. But that's all I got for today, so goodbye.